What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. So let's start off with NFL season right around the corner. Of course, I did my NFL preview yesterday. Well, I think it went up yesterday, I believe. What's today, actually? Today's Wednesday? Yeah, I can't keep track of it anymore. So yeah, that was yesterday. So Bills All-Pro linebacker Matt Milano just had a surgery for a torn bicep. Gonna miss a good chunk of the season. Looking like his return is not going to be realistic until about December. That's a big loss for the Bills. He only played 4 games last year as well, and you saw how it affected them, especially down the stretch. Because some of the more high-powered offenses like Miami and Kansas City, they definitely had some trouble. He's one of the best linebackers in the league, really underrated player. He's a stud, and it's a shame for him because he's an absolute game changer. Guy, you hate playing against, but would love to have on your team. And he missed most of the year last year as well. Now he's probably going to miss most of the season this year, possibly even the entire season. There's a good chance we won't see him till... He probably won't miss the entire year, but I would think their first game, September 8th? You're thinking December, so it could easily be, week 12, 13 until we see him. So he's probably going to at least half the season. So that's a big loss for Buffalo Bills, who I talked about yesterday. They lost a bunch of guys in the offseason. Obviously, more so in the receiver room, losing Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. And you also lose your center Mitch Morse, but you let go of Tre'Davious White, and you let go of Jordan Poyer. So and now Matt Milano, who's probably the captain of your defense, is now going to miss a good chunk of the season. So that's a big loss for the Buffalo Bills. And also, the Vikings signed Stephon Gilmore for a year for $10 million. Their top corner a couple of weeks ago tore his ACL in training camp. He's going to miss the entire season. So they were in desperate need of some help in that secondary. So they picked up Stephon Gilmore. Gilmore's bounced around for a while. He had his best years in New England a bunch of years back. He's bounced around. He was in Dallas last year. And he just signed with the Vikings. He's a little older, but still a solid corner. Still a good player. But I'm not sure how much this just changes things for the Vikings. That defense is really, really bad. I like Jonathan Grenard, who you gave a big contract in the offseason. That was your replacement, obviously, for Daniil Hunter. You knew you were going to lose him, so you went out and signed Jonathan Grenard. You draft Dallas Turner in the first round. I like him. Ivan Pace is a pretty good player. He's a good young linebacker. Gilmore is still a decent corner. Harrison Smith's still pretty good. He's much older now, towards the end of his career, but he's still a pretty good safety. Has had a very good career there. And but other than that defense is very bad. Now Brian Flores is in hot water after Tua went and ripped him on that podcast from their time together in Miami. He's the corner out there, so it's gonna be a long year for them. Sam Darnold's their starting quarterback. They got obviously some nice weapons. You have Jefferson, you have Jordan Addison, Albert Jones. You have T.J. Hawkinson come back at some point. But Sam Darnold's their quarterback. Obviously, J.J. McCarthy, the rookie first rounder after the entire season with the torn meniscus. But I guess they go a tiny better with Gilmore, but I don't think it'll change a whole lot. That defense is still horrible. He's not going to save them by any means. So the Milwaukee Brewers announced last week or so that Christian Yelich is having back surgery. He's going to miss the rest of the season. A few weeks prior, he was placed on the IL with a back problem, and they said, at first they weren't sure, was going to need surgery, he's going to rehab it. Then they said, he's going to rest and try to rehab it and should come back at some point. Looked like he's going to avoid surgery at least until the offseason, if he's going to even have to have it at all. But they announced last week he's going to have surgery. He's out for the rest of the season. It really is a shame because this guy a few years ago was an absolute stud. He was MVP in 2018. He would have won it in 2019 if he didn't get injured. And then from there, he just had a series of back problems that kind of limited him the last 2 years. He was not near the same, but this year had a bounce back year where he was a low star again. You look, for example, this is his MVP year in 2018. He hit 326 with 36 home runs, 110 RBIs. The year after that, he hit 329 with 44 home runs and 97 RBIs, and that's only in 130 games. He missed the last month of the year with it wasn't even his back. I think he had like a torn kneecap or a broken kneecap or something like that. Then in the pandemic year, he struggled, only hit 205. In 21, 248, just 9 home runs, 51 RBIs, only 117 games. He had a bit of a down year again. 2022, a little bit better. 252, 1457, still a far cry from what he once was. Last year, he hit 278 and 19 home runs, 76 RBIs, so better. Had a solid year, but not nearly the year he had, when he was winning MVP. But this year, in 73 games, he was hitting 315 with 11 home runs, 42 RBI, was having a phenomenal year, was an all-star again. Looked like he had finally found his elite self again, and now the background, he's had a lot of injuries. It really is a shame, because he is such a phenomenal talent. And he had finally gotten past all the injury with the knee and the back, and now he had another injury shortened year this year, and now he's had back surgery. And most time when guys have back surgery, you're never the same again. Obviously, professional athletes can be a little bit different, obviously, because they're in the best shape of any people out there. They can afford the best medical care and therapy and stuff like that. But the guy's going to be 33 years old next year. It's going to be, his 13th year in the league. Of all the injuries he's had, it's hard to see him, going out there and winning and at least competing for another MVP, if nothing else. So that's a shame for Christian Yelich. And it only announced a couple days ago that the New York Mets and the Seattle Mariners will play in the Little League World Series game next year on August 17th. You had the game between the Yankees and the Tigers this year. It was a really great game. Tigers won that game 3-2 on a walk-off, which I thought was very exciting. Walk-off in the Little League World Series game. I personally love the Little League World Series. It reminds me of when I used to play. I've always enjoyed it. I think the Little League World Series and MLB game is awesome. The Mets played a bunch of years ago. I know when they still had DeGrom, so it was probably a solid, might have been like 5 years ago or so, maybe a little bit longer than that. It's a lot of fun. I think it's a really cool thing that baseball does, and I'm happy the Mets will be in it next year, and they'll play the Seattle Mariners in that game next year. All right, so let's continue with my Madden ratings, grading the top 10 each position according to Madden. Let's go to the offensive tackles today. So number 1 is Trent Williams at 99. You know what? Let's start from 10. Number 10 is Jordan Mailata from the Eagles at 89. Number 9 is Rashawn Slater from the Chargers at 90. Christian Darrisaw is at 8 from the Vikings at 91. At 7 is Teron Armstead from the Dolphins at 92. Number 6 is Tristan Wirfs at 94 from the Bucks. Number 5 is Laremy Tunsil from the Texans at 94. Number 4 is Tyron Smith from the Jets at 95. Number 3 is Lane Johnson from the Eagles at 95. Number 2 is Penei Sewell from the Lions at 96. And then Trent Williams is number 1 with the San Francisco 49ers at 99. It's a pretty good list. I would probably have Tyron Smith a little bit lower. I'm very happy that he's on the Jets, but he's had a lot of injuries the last couple of years. He is still an All-Pro when he is healthy, but health has been a major concern for him. I'd probably put him a little bit lower. I'd probably put Tristan Wirfs ahead of him. Wirfs is an absolute stud. I would say the 3rd best right tackle in the league besides on the right side besides Penei Sewell and Lane Johnson. Trent's still number 1, but that guy's a stud. Getting a little bit older, but he's still an incredible talent. Rushmore, they didn't really have a huge problem with. To be honest, this is one of their better lists. So far, if I had to grade them, I thought the quarterbacks weren't great. I thought the running backs were probably their worst one, at least that I've done so far. The receivers were pretty good, but tight ends were pretty good. The offensive line, the tackles so far, this is honestly also pretty good, if I'm going to be honest. But yeah, I'd probably flip-flop Smith and Wirfs. I'd probably put Teron Armstead a little bit lower. He's getting a little bit older. He's not a guy with a lot of injury problems. I'd probably put him a little bit lower. Maybe flip him and Jordan Mailata. You could probably hear an argument that Andrew Thomas from the Giants, who's at 89, ranked number 11, is better than him, but he's also coming off a year last year where he played only a couple of games because of injuries. So, so I'd probably flop him and Jordan Mailata, put Mailata at 92 in the 7th spot, and then at the 10th spot, you put Armstead maybe with the 89. But those are probably the only 2 changes I would make to this list. Overall, this is actually one of the Madden's better lists when it comes to the top 10s for their position rankings. All right, so let's wrap this up. Sam Rosen last week announced that he is retiring after this season with the Rangers. He's been the Rangers play-by-play announcer for the last 40 years, and he also does some football as well. One of the greatest play-by-play announcers of all time, in my opinion. He's been the voice of the Rangers as long as I've been alive. When I think of New York Rangers, he's one of the first people I think of, because for my entire 22 years of my life, whenever I turn on the Ranger game, he's the first voice I hear. How he's probably the first voice that my dad has heard. My dad's 54 or 55 years old. And, saying my dad's been doing it 40 years, and you do the math. Absolute legend. He's had an incredible career. This will be his last year as a broadcaster, then he will retire. Personally, I think he should be in the Broadcaster Hall of Fame, which not sure if he is. I think he's in like the Rangers Hall of Fame or something like that. He got some sort of nomination a bunch of years ago. But hopefully he is. I heard Kenny Albert might replace him. I'd be very happy with that. But we'll see what happens. But congratulations to Sam Rosen on a great career, and I hope this is a phenomenal last year for you. To finish up, couple stories. So the number one men's tennis player in the world, Jannik Sinner, apparently he tested positive for steroids twice, and he's lost a bunch of prize money, lost a bunch of points like in the standings, but he's not going to be banned or suspended. So I thought he should have been suspended. First of all, I don't get once in a while a tennis player gets knocked for juicing. Why are you juicing if you're a tennis player? Like, I don't. People need to realize the reason that I think in baseball that steroid use should be in the Hall of Fame, guys like Barry Bonds, and guys like that, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, all those guys. Because people will think, oh, it makes you hit the ball further or harder, or you run faster. Like, no, it helps you recover quicker. So I get why a baseball player would use it. A tennis player? Look, not to say tennis is easy. It's a very, very hard sport to play. It's a lot of running, and you run and swing a racket. What kind of recovery do you need? It's not like you're playing every single day, and like you're playing in, even when you're like Wimbledon, you have like a day or two off in between your matches. Like, come on, what do you take steroids for? I never understood why tennis players do steroids. I don't get it. Never made any sense to me. Then ESPN made a couple of changes. They fired Robert Griffin III. So he was considered a bit of a rising star, obviously, a former NFL quarterback. And he was part of he did a bunch of college football analysis. He appeared on shows like Get Up pretty often. Then he eventually ended up getting demoted. He was on, I think it was Monday NFL Countdown. They announced that for this year he had been demoted. He's going to be replaced last week with Jason Kelsey, of course, former Eagles center. Of course, has the podcast with his brother Travis from the Kansas City Chiefs. That's who's going to replace him. And FS1's been going after him for a long time. That network is falling apart. Obviously Shannon Sharp left the network last year. Skip Bayless just left FS1. So it was just Nick Wright, who's just an atrocious analyst. And really nobody else. And there's the whole show with LaShawn McCoy, and that it's called Speak. It's not a very good show. LaShawn McCoy is not a very good analyst by any means. So I heard he's probably going to go over there. I don't mind. He's really annoying, RG3. He irks me. He's always tweeting about something, just random. He's very annoying. Someone else who was fired was Sam Ponder. She's the host of Sunday NFL Countdown. Look, she wasn't my favorite. She was a fine host, but, far from the worst ESPN has nowadays, but I wouldn't say it was the best, but she was a fine host. Supposedly, she spoke out with a lot of controversy, with the Olympics. You got, like men competing in women's sports with that whole thing. I'm not gonna get into that. As you know, this is not a show where any politics are brought up whatsoever. So there's people saying that's why she was fired. If so, I think that is ridiculous. I kind of agree with her, to be honest. I never really understood the whole discourse. But back to the actual topic. Mike Greenberg is going to be promoted and replace her. I like Mike Greenberg. I've listened to him for a long time. Obviously, he did Mike and Mike of My Golic for years, and he got the gig of Get Up a bunch of years ago. And overall, I think it's a pretty solid show. I think he does a good job. Overall, I think he's a good host, and I am excited to see what he does with some of the NFL Countdown. That show isn't the same way what it was when obviously we had Chris Brown when it was absolutely peak. Tom Jackson was the best. Mike Ditka was good. When I was a younger person, yeah, Chris Carr was on the show. He was really funny. It's little by little, Chris Carr ended up leaving ESPN. Keyshawn Johnson was almost left the ESPN, which I didn't mind because he's really annoying. And then, Tom Jackson retired, and Boomer retired, and, and Ditka left the show. And then it's pretty good now. Obviously, you got Rex Ryan, who's I find really funny. Randy Moss is funny. He obviously knows what he's talking about. Charles Woodson, another guy, funny, good personality. Obviously, all-time great player. So you got Matt Hasselbeck, who's the next player himself. He's another guy who's got a good personality. Him and his brother Tim are both very good analysts, both former NFL quarterbacks. And then Ponder as the host, but now it's going to be Mike Greenberg. All right, and to finish up, we're going to recap Monday Night Raw from this past Monday, from a couple days ago. So we had the Randy Orton, he came out and started cutting a promo. Then Gunther came out, and then Ludwig Kaiser attacked him from behind. And then moving on, you had a Women's Tag Team Championship match. It was Alba Fire and Isla Dawn against Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark against Io Sky and Kairi Sane. Fire and Dawn won that match and retained the title in that triple threat tag match. We had a match between Damian Priest and Dom Mysterio, but didn't really end up happening. They ended up attacking Priest. Rhea Ripley tried to have out. She ended up getting attacked as well by Liv Morgan. That storyline has been absolutely phenomenal. You got the Tower Twins, they're called, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, and the New Judgment Day, which is Finn Balor, Jay McDonough, Carlito, Liv Morgan, and somebody I'm wrestling, and Dom Mysterio. That's sort of been awesome. That was very cool. Then Braun Breaker, he did a backstage interview saying that they're he announced there's going to be a tournament or some sort of a tournament next week, this upcoming Monday, to determine his next challenger for the Intercontinental Championship. And then he went on and said, like Adam Pearce is trying to, has been trying, he wants me to fail, and no one can beat me. So I wonder who will step up to him. I'm very interested. And then he had Braun Strowman defeated The Miz in no disqualification match. Obviously, he's been destroying guys left and right. I like the push saying he's been guys like he destroyed Seth Rollins, destroyed him off TV. Then he went after R-Truth, and then Adam Pearce like, hey, Miz, you don't gotta do this. Bronson's doesn't care if I find him. I should get. You don't have to do this. And then Miz is like, you know what? I don't want to do this, but I don't have a lot of friends in this industry, and but R-Truth is one of my friends, so I have to do this. By the way, that promo should just really tell you how underrated the Miz is. That guy is absolute stud. I don't think people realize how great that guy is, how great a performer he is. And then Braun Strowman's music hit, after he was attacking Miz after the match. That was awesome. If we get a match between those two guys, that would be sick. Braun Strowman, those are two large men. Then you had the New Day and Odyssey Jones in a six-man tag against the Final Testament. New Day won. I love Odyssey Jones. That storyline has been getting more interesting by the day. Obviously, in recent weeks, Woods hasn't been too excited. Backstage, you had all of them talking, and then after Odyssey left, Kofi pulled Woods aside, like, hey, your engine's been kind of down. He's like, hey, he's like, yeah, I wish you had kind of, ran this past me about, with Odyssey Jones, the whole thing, he talking about, carry across trying to drive a wedge between us people have always done. He's like, constantly you're trying to replace Big E. Kofi's like, no one's ever gonna do that. He's in the same place that we were years ago when we started New Day, and no one liked us. He's like, oh yeah, you're right. And then towards the end of the match, Kofi was looking for a hot tag, and Woods put his hand on it. He ended up tagging in Odyssey Jones, which Woods didn't like. So it seems like they're obviously New Day is going to break up at some point. But I'm not sure. It seems like it looks like Woods is going to turn heel. I'm very excited for that storyline. Which for a while, the New Day and the Final Testament, it was a pretty boring storyline. Ever since Odyssey Jones, that storyline has been one of the more underrated storylines that the WWE has right now. It's getting more interesting by the day. Then you had CM Punk, Drew McIntyre agree to a strap match at Bash in Berlin. That's going to be exciting next weekend. You had Ivy Nile versus Maxine Dupri. They had a match, but then the White Six came out, and they attacked American Made, which is, of course, Chad Gable and the Curry brothers. And it says up next week, it's going to have Uncle Howdy versus Chad Gable. That's going to be an awesome match. That's Bo Dallas slash Uncle Howdy's his first match in like 4 or 5 years. Like, just overall single match. So that's going to be exciting. You had Sheamus versus Pete Dunne. That was an incredible match. Pete Dunne is really underrated. Sheamus is obviously a stud. End of the match where Pete Dunne had Sheamus's injured hand, tied in the turnbuckle, and then Sheamus ripped the turnbuckle off and bro kicked him and pinned him. That was an awesome match. That rivalry's been really good. And of course, you had Randy Orton versus Ludwig Kaiser in the main event. But I love Ludwig Kaiser. He's such a perfect heel because he looks like a heel. When you look at that guy, that's a guy like, you look at him, it's not only the way he performs, the way he talks, just looking at him, just like, yeah, yeah, that guy looks like a douchebag. I'm sorry, but Orton defeat Ludwig Kaiser. Gunther tried to help out, didn't work out. Their world title match at Bash in Berlin is going to be cinema, and that is Monday Night Raw. That is all I have for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.